I think it's pretty like a ubiquitous feeling that like you've seen like these pro leagues on TV. You run out in your yard, you want to pretend it's like the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, and you're up to bat. Those are things that like everyone's kind of done, or like whatever sport you're into or whatever competitive thing you're into, you see it on TV. You like pretend that's what you're like at home. That existing for cubing is like a very good thing. Acting like that's like super elitist or like it's just like catering to the top competitors is really disingenuous, because like that is motivating for like so many kids who see that and like, wow, it's so cool. If I practice really hard, I can be up there too. I can do this. These are the opportunities that are there. Things move very slowly, as you kind of expect from like the community's gotten pretty large, and like there's a lot of people kind of locked into like how they view cubing when they started.
You're, a relatively OG cuber, you know what I mean? You represent an era that existed, and we're now in a very different one. When you're sitting back and looking at cubing now, what's your perspective on it? Do you like where it's gone? Have you noticed that it's changed in any way, or like what's your take on where we are now, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely in kind of a transition period. I feel like as cubing as a whole, like after COVID, we kind of ran a few of these comps that are very similar. Like, I mean, like the big majors recently have been like exactly the same, but nicer as like previously. And like we see now there's more, like cubing has gotten too big for this like one size fits all type of like kind of mentality. And like we've already seen that be reflected in like the WCA, where like years ago, like people were extremely opposed to even like doing anything different, like treating top competitors differently in any way, good or bad. And like that's codified in the WCA as like different things now. Like it's specifically stated that like you can use frame by frame analysis for like top 50 solves or championship level solves. Like that is straight up like we're treating people differently, and like we definitely should. Like it's just like the concept of like doing that like didn't even exist. Like you get pushback on that, which I always thought was crazy. Like years ago, and now like things move very slowly, as you kind of expect from like the community's gotten pretty large, and like there's a lot of people like pretty stringent or like pretty just like kind of locked into like how they view cubing when they started. And so like I've kind of always been on the mindset of like wanting more and like wanting things to change, and like kind of seeing like there's more to cubing. And like I like being on now as like a member of Cubing USA org team, and like seeing like, I mean now obviously like Nationals is public and like we've announced it and stuff, like seeing like an event like Nationals, which like I'm really excited about. I'm really curious like how it's gonna go. But like seeing the community response as like, I feel like the most of the response was generally like, cool idea, curious how it's gonna go. And I'm like, yeah, same. Like that's what we're also kind of curious how it's gonna go. Like nothing to this scale has ever been done before, but like it's already up. Like everyone signed up, like not everyone, but like you look at the psych sheets for that thing online, and like they're very fast. Like I didn't make 4x4. I've already gotten kicked out of 4x4. I think 5x5 I might get kicked out of. Maybe I'll get a PR this summer, but we'll see. And so like I see the community generally, it seems like they're aware that like the next step is obviously like more spectator appeal, more things that are specifically catered to like the very top competitors. And like kind of the harder part that like you alluded to already, that like what's naturally that comes along with that is like, how do you make these things? And like money is obviously like involved by like mandatory. Like you have to pay a production company to do the stream, you have to pay a venue. Like we're putting like there's a lot of money for a low number of competitors at these things. And like I think like I'm kind of curious how like this will go. Like I'm really excited about it, and I hope it like all works out. And like I like running these. I'm like really excited to run these events, and like I'm in like the very cautious optimism side. And then I do think it's a little strange, like acting like money being involved and people wanting to make money off of this thing being like inherently a bad thing. I think is kind of crazy, because like pro leagues exist. Like there's just like universal truth that like pro leagues existing fosters a stronger like casual hobbyist base. Like USA Swimming anticipates like a huge jump in membership every 4 years after the Olympics because of like the Olympic boost, and people see things on TV. Like you like wonder why like US like the US soccer teams aren't quite as good, because like the pro league, like everyone plays football or baseball, like all the really good athletes do, because that's what you see on TV. Like I think it's pretty like a ubiquitous feeling that like you've seen like these pro leagues on TV. You run out in your yard, you want to like you pretend it's like the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs and you're up to bat. Like those are things that like everyone's kind of done, or like whatever sport you're into or whatever competitive thing you're into, you see it on TV. You like pretend that's what you're like at home, and like acting like that existing for cubing is like a very good thing. Like acting like that's like super elitist or like it's just like catering to the top competitors is really disingenuous, because like that like is motivating for like so many kids who like see that and like, wow, it's so cool. If I practice really hard, like I can be up there too. I can do this. These are the opportunities that are there. And like, yeah, like it takes a ton of work, and like most people aren't going to get that, but that's fine. Like that's how like things always work. But like it doesn't mean that like working towards that goal and seeing that motivation is like worthless for everyone who doesn't like become like a super professional cuber. Like I think like there's thousands and thousands of college athletes that would say they were motivated by pro athletes that had a great time and a great NCAA experience and never had a chance of going pro, and still would say it was like I watch, like I swim in college. I watch pro swimming. I follow it as extremely like fun to see, and like I think there'd be less interest in swimming as a whole if like overall for me and like my colleagues if like there weren't pro meets and like the Olympics happened and like you could see worlds on TV and like all this stuff where like, wow, that'd be so cool, and like you see this type of thing even though like I wasn't very good. Like there was no chance
Yeah.
that like that was ever going to be a reality for me, but like that's just a very validating thing for you and your activity.
Absolutely. It's like I feel like this might be a stretch and I haven't thought this through, but bear with me, okay? So cuz like I feel like the arguments against cubing becoming more mainstream and being more visible is like the same arguments I hear kind of about women's sports. And I'll give you an example specifically, okay? Because, you know, my son's really into rugby. I love to watch the rugby with him. We went to our local to watch a game because they had Sky Sports, and we were there a bit early, and they were showing some women's NRL, right, the rugby league, and it's so good to watch, bro. It's so good to watch. And I had my daughter with me who could not, at that point, could not care less about rugby. She was like, I don't care. Stupid boy sport. I hate it. And then she obviously sees the women playing, and she's like, oh, wait. Okay, that's interesting. And then me and Charlie, my son, are watching it, and it was so good, man. It was so good. They're just these incredible women playing the game, and it's a good game to watch. It's different, but it's great to watch. But then Georgie, my daughter, sees women playing rugby, and she goes, oh, this is for me. I can do that. And now she's like, she comes along to some of the training sessions we do, purely because she saw herself represented. She saw, she was given, almost like given permission by seeing it on TV. She was just like, oh, I can do that too. And she was like so enthused by it and is now like really enamored by this idea. And it's just about that exposure. It's just about seeing the thing. It's like, all right, you're at Google. I don't know if you're involved in ads or whatever, but it's just,
No.
it's impressions. That's all we want is impressions. We want people to see cubing because the more impressions you get, the more conversions you'll get. Impressions, people getting eyeballs on a thing, will lead to a certain percentage of those people doing the thing. And it's like, I don't see any downside to that personally, you know? And Curious Nick as well. This is someone I've talked about on the stream. Curious Nick in the chat. It's why we need more girls in cubing. You know, I would love to see girls creating content based on cubing because that's the only way that girls can go, well, sorry, that's not true. It is another way that girls can go, I can do this too. And that grows their participation, which I think is linked.